All right, third thing to think about when we're trying to generate our story ideas. Questions. A question doesn't have to, don't feel like you have to start off with the question. That was fun. Let's do that again. The question. You don't have to do that, but start asking questions that the story could answer. I mean, that's really what this is about. What is a question that you have that the story could answer? So like I mentioned with my Aggie books, the question was, what would happen if you got 8 children all at once? Well, the answer was this book about this crazy chaos that this woman is trying to tame into a semblance of order so these children can have a decent life. You know, and I mean, that was the question, and it was a good question. It was a good story. It's my most popular series. It was a good idea. And so sometimes the question is super simple like that. Other questions might be a little more profound, you know. I had one that it was, I'm going to get this wrong. It all started with my father. My father always had this idea that if he goes to your country, he expects and you know, moves to your country, expects to adapt to your culture, learn your language, be a part of who your country is. And he expected the same of people that came to America. And so I was trying to think about it because I was studying, you know, I remember studying California history and how pretty much we just came in and took over as civilizations have done for, you know, millennia. It's not anything new. I don't want to shred our forefathers for being what everybody has been. This is how it has always been done. And whether it's right or wrong isn't the point. It was what they knew. So I'm not making a political statement here. This is what happened. They moved in, they took over. The Californios were a very laid back society. You know, they were, the Californios, those people were very laid back. It was a very, easygoing society. They didn't really push their way of life on people coming in. They just assumed that those people coming in would show the same respect for others as they were trying to show, and they got walked over. That way of life disappeared with annexation almost overnight. Those people lost their entire ranchos. They lost everything. Squatters came in, they were gone. And I wanted to show that there had to have been some forward thinkers, because there were people like Juana Briones who, she fought for her stuff and she kept it, and she was one of the very few that actually not only kept her own property, but she got her estranged husband's property when he died. She took it to the Supreme Court. So there were people who would do that, and I wanted to show it before it happened, just a little bit. And so my question was, well, what if Dad had been a Californio? And that's why I gave all that background, because it wouldn't make sense otherwise. What if he had been in California? Well, he would have expected the Americanos to come in and to learn his language. So he would refuse to learn theirs. You know, some people were learning English as the Americanos came in, and they were trying to, you know, blend. Well, what if you had a guy who wouldn't? And so that became, it's going to be a 11 book now series about this family and how they became this, you know, really super cool, oh, I love this family. And the first book is Deepest Roots of the Heart. It's actually the prequel sequel to the whole series. You know, book 1 is where you see that man, you see that man, Ruiz Carrillo, who just was like, no, you come to my country, you learn my language. I go to your country, I learn yours. You know, and that was, you know, but he yields. And he yields because people are more important than an ideal. And in a sense, I think my father would too, in a similar situation. And I wanted to show that. I wanted to show that it can be a very beautiful and a very different thing. So sometimes the question is rather vague, but it's because you've got a specific idea in the back of your mind. Just keep narrowing that question down. You know, what would happen if, you know, like yesterday we talked about the Amish. You know, what would happen if, or was it the day before? I don't know. What would happen if an Amish person had trouble with non-resistance? What if they wanted to fight for their country in, you know, the war between the states? You know, what if they wanted to fight for, against Hitler? They hear about Hitler and all that pacifism through their whole life, just it doesn't matter. We've got to stop this guy from killing people, and so, and it almost Sergeant York in that, got to stop those guns. What would happen, and so you start asking those questions about things that interest you. Because if you ask ask questions about things that interest you, your story will interest your reader. If you're interested in your story, your reader will become interested if you write it in an interesting way. So don't choose something that you don't care about, especially when you're trying to generate ideas quickly and execute them even quicker. You don't want to write something that that, I can do a good job, but I don't want to write it. You don't want that for something that you've got to do quickly. So start asking those hard questions, and sometimes you just want to start with, what would make a girl quit her job? Well, what kind of job does she have? Well, what would make a girl walk off of a nursing program? She's a nurse. It's only 6 weeks into her program, and now she's done. And so you just keep asking, well, what would make, she lost a patient. Well, what would make a nurse who is going to have to deal with the fact that they will lose patients do it after this one? Well, maybe the patient, she finds out on the deathbed, the patient is the mother she's been looking for all her life. Whoa. Well, there's a solid question. Okay, so the question is, why would a nurse quit her job? The answer is because the patient she lost, after losing a patient, why would a nurse quit her job after losing a patient? Well, the answer is because she found out that patient was her mother and now she's gone and she can't take it anymore. And of course, you can have the story come full circle. Someone get through to her that, that if as a nurse you can help save the next one so that they don't have to lose their mom after they find them. See what I mean? So when you're asking the questions, start small. Well, what would make a woman, pick up and leave everything and move west? Well, what year is this? Well, what if it's 1940? 1940 is not what we associate with westward migration, right? So why in 1940? Well, maybe she's come to work on the shipyards. She can see that we're headed to war, and she wants to be there, and she wants to be ready, and she can take care of this elderly aunt of hers in the meantime, and, she just knows that this is coming. Okay, you've got a World War II story started. You started with, what would make a woman move west? And you took it from that to, well, what year? Okay, well, if it's 1940, what's coming soon? What just happened? Why would she move west? What happened in the East? What happened in the West? What happened in the world? Oh, there's a war going on and we're about to enter it. Oh, I get it. See what I mean? There's so much you can do in so many different ways when you just start asking basic questions and letting them stretch out into, bigger, stronger, more powerful ones, if you will. So you do have to ask the question, and the neat thing is when you get it narrowed down to an interesting question that you want to answer, and it's giving you character ideas, and now you're getting setting ideas, you do have to remember to go, oh yeah, what's the answer to that? So make sure that as you're thinking about that question, you can handle writing that answer. There have been a couple of times that I've had some really great questions and I came up with a great character and I'm like, yay! And then I went, oh, I don't like the answer. I don't want to write that answer. And it's gotten pushed on the side. Someday I'll either decide on a different answer or I'll be prepared to write that answer. But you're not always ready for it. You're just not always set up for it. And when you're not, that's okay. Move along. Ask another question. Anyway, so character, setting, question. Your assignment for this week are you have 2 assignments. You have to take those and come up with your story ideas based on those questions. And once you've answered each one, you see your little character, you see your little setting, you see your little question, you've got them all there in your little holy trinity of writing, right? Okay, well, you need to flesh out as much of that as you can. Just start writing down everything you can think of about that character, that you know about that character, anything you want to happen in that story. Write it all down, all those little details, okay? And we're gonna have threads in the forum, one for character, one for setting, one for questions. What you need to do is put your information in each one. Respond to each person with a reply. Don't just add to the whole long thing. Respond to people's questions. Ask them questions to help them generate ideas. And this is the most important part. People, you're going to ask them questions, you're going to offer ideas, and people are going to take those and twist them into what's going to work for their story. You can't get offended because they don't use your idea. Please don't get offended because people can't use your idea. But keep offering suggestions. And the more you can offer them in the form of a question, the less likely you are to lead someone to make a choice that they really didn't want. If you put it in the form of a question, then if that's not what they want to work with, it's really easy to answer no. But it's harder to say, no, I don't want to do that when someone says you should do this. It's just harder. Let's make it easy on each other, okay? Second to these 3 threads, we're going to have my thread. I want you to throw all your character, setting, and ideas at me for me to write in that thread. Anything you can think of. Why does she have purple shoes? She only wears purple shoes. Why? And well, if that's your idea, put it in there and we will explore why she might only wear purple shoes, and it might be a big part of the story. Or it might get rejected because we're choosing this other thing over there. Throw everything you can think of. Character, setting, questions, throw them in there and we'll start weeding them out. If you see something that you love, put a thumbs up on it, put a like on it so that we know that, oh yeah, there's a lot of people that like this one, so this will make it into the poll.